There exists a generation marked by a particular kind of resilience, one that doesn't announce itself, but hums steadily beneath the surface of everything they do. Those who grew up in the 1970s carry an emotional texture shaped by a unique position in history. They were the bridge generation, raised in an analog world, yet forced to adapt to a digital one, taught traditional values, yet asked to navigate entirely new realities. The formation of a different inner life. Imagine childhood in that era. The world moved slower in ways almost unfamiliar today. Waiting was normal. Patience wasn't optional, it was essential. To see someone, you walked to their house. To know something, you asked an elder or searched through books. This environment cultivated a different kind of inner life, one that modern speed rarely permits. Their psychology is rooted in something profoundly human, the understanding that life unfolds moment by moment, not scroll by scroll. Adaptation without complaint. One of their most defining traits is the ability to adapt without complaint. They lived through transitions that fundamentally reshaped society, technology, culture, expectations, even the very definition of success. In the 1970s, personal brands and constant visibility didn't exist. Privacy wasn't a luxury, it was the norm. You could simply exist without being observed. As decades shifted, they reinvented themselves in ways no previous generation had, learning flexibility wrapped in quiet endurance. Yet this creates an inner contrast. On one side lives the instinct to remain grounded, to keep things simple, to value what's tangible. On the other exists internalized pressure to keep up, stay relevant, constantly adjust to whatever the world becomes next. They appear calm, but internally they're perpetually translating a world that keeps rewriting itself. Emotional restraint and deep empathy. Many learned emotional restraint early, not from lack of feeling, but because their culture valued composure. You didn't broadcast worries or share everything freely. Pain was carried quietly, with hope that time would ease it. This is why so many from this era possess deep empathy, yet struggle to express vulnerable emotions. They were praised for not making things a big deal, even when those things truly mattered. The result, they're reliable, loyal, and strong, but sometimes misunderstood. They feel deeply, but don't always speak deeply. Creativity born from boredom. They grew up when boredom existed, and this shaped their creativity profoundly. Without constant distraction, minds learned to wander, build stories, and imagine. Much of their problem-solving ability and emotional depth stems from this mental wandering. When forced to entertain yourself, you learn resourcefulness. You learn to sit with discomfort. You develop patience, a trait rapidly disappearing today. A different rhythm of love. Relationships operated in a vastly different rhythm. Affection wasn't expressed loudly, it appeared in actions. Attention wasn't measured in instant messages, but in how much someone showed up in real moments. Arguments were solved face to face, in real tone, with real presence. This shaped how they connect as adults. They value sincerity, trust consistency over charm, and notice actions more than words. This mindset makes them both incredibly loyal and incredibly cautious. They open slowly, but when they do, they mean it completely. The independence factor. Growing up in the 1970s meant minimal supervision. You explored, made mistakes, and figured things out independently. This shaped a particular confidence, not loud, but steady and quiet. They don't fall apart easily because they learned to handle things alone. Resilience was built through doing, trying, and failing. This experience creates emotional backbone that doesn't brag but holds firm through life's storms. Sensitivity to change. Growing up in that era also created deep sensitivity to change. The world they knew vanished quickly. Technology rewrote communication, values shifted, work transformed. Suddenly, the skills they were raised on, patience, privacy, presence, weren't what the modern world valued most. This creates inner conflict, adapt or protect the world they knew. Many do both, evolving while holding on to the emotional truths that shaped them. This dual experience gives them rare perspective. They appreciate both past and present, understanding the value of slowness and the necessity of speed. They know what it means to wait and what it means to adjust quickly. Having lived in both worlds, they don't view life only through modern stress, but also through timeless simplicity. Quiet responsibility. They carry a quiet sense of responsibility, growing up with the idea that you help, show up, and take care of things. You don't leave people behind or make everything about yourself. This sense of duty shapes their relationships, work ethic, and approach to hardship. When difficulties arise, their instinct is to push through, handle it, keep going. The psychological cost is that they sometimes forget to rest, forget to ask for help, forget they're allowed to be human too. The weight of nostalgia. Their nostalgia runs stronger than almost any other generation, not because their decade was perfect, but because it was tactile and physical. You touched life, experiencing things without filters or instant do-overs. When you lost something, it was gone. When you waited, the waiting was real. When you achieved something, it genuinely meant something. This emotional contrast between the real and digital makes their memories feel heavier, more textured. Nostalgia becomes emotional grounding, a reminder of a world that once felt slower and more personal. Emotional balance before overstimulation. They learned emotional balance before the world became overstimulating. Silence was normal. Stillness was normal. Long stretches existed where you simply were. No buzzing phones, no constant updates, no digital presence to maintain. That quiet shaped their inner stability, teaching them to observe, reflect, and understand themselves without distraction. The modern world's pace can feel overwhelming, not dramatically, but subtly, tiringly. They're wired for depth over speed, meaning over noise, presence over performance. Living with uncertainty. They learned early that you can't control everything. Plans got delayed. Life happened without explanations. If something didn't work, you figured it out, improvised. This flexibility built adaptable strength, the kind that doesn't crumble under pressure, but bends, adjusts, and finds solutions. However, this self-reliance means many still struggle with receiving help, creating emotional loneliness at times. They support everyone else, but don't always feel safe asking for support themselves. Appreciation for authenticity. They deeply appreciate authenticity, having grown up before everything became curated, before popularity turned into numbers, before personalities were polished into performances. You got to know people by spending time with them, forming friendships through shared experiences, not algorithmic proximity. Because of this, they possess instinctive radar for what feels real versus artificial. They sense sincerity quickly and gravitate toward grounded, humble, consistent people. Gratitude for small things. Not having access to everything instantly taught them to appreciate what they had. That feeling never fully leaves. Even now, with modern convenience, they still value small things deeply. Meaningful conversations, peaceful evenings, moments of kindness, unexpected memories. Gratitude isn't performed, it's genuinely felt. The quiet courage. Perhaps most significantly, they carry quiet courage, not loud or showy, but the kind that appears in responsibility, patience, long-term effort, and doing what needs doing, even when unglamorous. They understand imperfection, having grown up in a world where things broke, plans failed, and mistakes happened. Not everything was edited, filtered, or polished. That made them real, not perfect, but grounded. The bridge between worlds.
People who grew up in the 1970s learned something incredibly rare: how to live slowly in a world that moves fast, and how to stay human in a world becoming increasingly digital. They are the bridge between worlds, carrying the memory of simplicity and the skill of adaptation. They embody resilience wrapped in gentleness, witnesses to the past and participants in the present. Their psychology, shaped by silence, change, and authenticity, remains quietly powerful. They understand that human connection matters, that patience matters, that presence is one of the greatest strengths anyone can possess, and they live these truths quietly, without announcement. That's why they feel so emotionally steady, so relatable, so deeply human.